Hey guys, so this week I got an upper Karazhan +14 key for my cache, and since we didn't manage to do it in time, I decided to only upload the boss fights just so people could take a look and kind of provide some tips after what we experienced. Um, everyone's still learning this dungeon in terms of having the new affixes and figuring out which boss mechanics are actually hard hitting and stuff, so we definitely weren't able to do it on time, our first attempt. If you're a curator, though, he's pretty easy. He was the only boss we one-shot, so the only thing you really have to keep in mind is making sure ads die, relatively quick as soon as possible. You don't want them to stay up for a long time. And then you want all of your non-tank people, healers and DPS, to really save space in terms of where they're stacking and standing. So all the pools and puddles will be placed well and you won't run out of space in the room. But really, aside from that, once you have that down, that boss will go down really easily.
Holy shit, he's tanky.
It's not going so bad. Second pot.
Adds out.
Holy shit.
Adds out.
They buffed the fuck out of bear. Push to talk about it. I mean, after this fight.
Fuck me. Sorry.
Adds in the back.
Range to kill it.
We have plenty of basic. Well.
Try to stack up range. Move like so it's all the same area. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not.
I feel like he casted the ground thing a lot less than in normal, or maybe I'm just not remembering correctly.
That's a lot of shit on there.
Alright.
So for Medivh, we did struggle quite a bit. I think it took us maybe 5 pulls. But you want to have a set interrupt rotation. Ideally, people shouldn't miss theirs. Inferno Bolt applies a dot that ticks for a shitload of damage. And then occasionally, he does an AoE to everyone. So ideally, you want everyone to be topped off as much as possible. I think we had maybe 3 humans in this party, so we did have the convenience of letting some of the stun casts go through, and we were able to just trinket out of it, which was really convenient. I tended to interrupt second because I have a long-ass cooldown. It's 45 seconds on silence.
I just did it.
So I wanted to just use it and let, the cooldown start ticking so I could use it again as soon as possible. What we made sure to do was spread around the room so that, nobody is ever stacked. When Infernal Bolt hits, it only applies a debuff to one person. During the bird phase, we focused one bird down at a time. Obviously, as a Shadow Priest with dots. Dot them all and then focus whoever is targeted first. We tended to do one bird on the side of the room and then went clockwise or counterclockwise, one of those ways. I'd say the toughest phase is especially during Flame Wreath. I think we only got one of those instances, but I tried to help out the healer with Vampiric Embrace during that because Inferno Bolts are still going out during that, and if anybody dies, it wipes the raid because it'll proc Flame Wreath. So you want to just make sure, help out whoever has a debuff, make sure they're not dipping low, and keep the rotations going, and then the boss should be dead.
Freeze.
Use.
Hunter, you're next. Mage. Take your stone. Got this one. Hunter. There. Piece of cake.
So for the
It's like
Manowar
what?
Boss,
The priest, the
it
hunter, mage,
was
mage,
quite a bit challenging. The swirlies on the ground to remove the mana orb debuffs ticks for quite a lot when you're standing in there to remove it. And the mana orbs themselves, each stack of the debuff hurts a lot. So what I found was that Shadow Priests are great for this fight. We have the ability to heal, we do have a speed boost to, help collect things, and I didn't try any more than 2 stacks when I had Disperse up. I didn't want to risk dying by being too greedy, so anytime I had Disperse, I would collect 2 and then run to deposit and get the debuff removed. It felt like, I think it was like maybe 2 seconds sounds a little long, but it did feel like roughly 1.5 to 2-ish seconds where the debuff came off per stack. I think the more you do it, you'll really get a feel for it, because I was starting to understand when the stack would be removed and then be able to move out as soon as possible to minimize damage as well as risking dying. But so what I would do is, if I had Disperse up, I would grab 2, remove my debuff, and then I would still continue going around grabbing them. So if without Disperse, I would grab 1, get rid of it, kind of heal myself up a little bit, and then just keep grabbing until there weren't any up. So that sounds really not efficient in terms of DPS, but since we were struggling with him reaching 100 mana for a few pulls, I didn't really feel like damage was that important. Plus, we weren't doing it in time, so we just wanted the boss dead. But I feel like if, people ran the boss more and were more familiar, they would have a feel for how many orbs you can afford to let pass per wave and focus more on damage. Also, another thing, we wanted to make sure our healer didn't end up grabbing any mana orbs and focus on healing, because with the tanks and DPS all grabbing orbs as well as soaking the swirly to get rid of the debuff, that's a lot of damage going out, so we wanted him to focus on healing only and not worry about grabbing orbs.
I'm healing us.
Alright, we're good. Damn, that's fucking rough.
And for the last boss, we mainly rotated on interrupts for Burning Blast, and the usual in terms of placing your orbs well. The bridge area was actually tough at first because we had a lot of people dying to the electrical thingies on the side. So what we realized is, while he's casting Disintegrate, which is the beam that knocks you back, you would try to stick to the safe areas on the side of the bridge where the electric doesn't touch. I think there's 2 per side, and they do have a pretty large width or radius or whatever you want to call it, but there is a safe space in between both of them. Or you could really just wait for
it's not up.
most of the people to get to the other side first before you make your way across. If you're afraid of getting hit and dying, I did manage to get knocked back once into the trickling electricity beam stuff, so
Careful for the orb.
that's always an option. Another thing is, I think on the first platform there are 2 people that get the orb debuff, and it ticks for a lot, so you do want to dispel that as soon as possible. Since the healer only has 1 dispel, it was really convenient for me to be there because Mass Dispel is amazing. and it is a fantastic utility that I
Yep.
really like having.
Alright, Priest, you're next.
So he would
I
dispel
make it
someone
there.
first, and then I would
Okay,
dispel the
yeah.
other person.
Fine.
On the final
bad,
platform,
Okay.
it's
You got
the
it done?
same thing basically.
About this
3 people get it on that one, so it is a little hectic at the end, as you will see. But
Okay,
this
Oh,
fight really wasn't as hard as we expected.
Hold on.
Definitely not as challenging as the other ones.
Mage. Mage. Got this one.
How much slower his cast is there to the first phase?
10 seconds on mine.
Contour.
Holy
I got
crap.
myself, I got myself.
Get him out. Or use these before.
I potted.
Oh my god.
Hunter, Hunter, Hunter.
I can get next, I can get next.
Luck on being that one. Alright.
This boss is actually making me so focused, it's so annoying.
Make sure you guys spread the fuck out, by the way. Because
Do you want
this
to try
one's
not
gonna be
interrupting
really hard.
this one?
This one's gonna be
Just
hectic as
interrupt
shit.
at a really low point. Like,
Alright.
Yeah, interrupt
cats
at the
don't
last second.
interrupt at the start.
We'll sit in the middle. You guys spread out around them if you can.
Okay, here.
Direct.
Popping B.
It's about a third of the way done. We have like 8 seconds before we need to interrupt it. Get ready.
Let's do it. Priest.
Oh, nobody else
I'll
had it
enter.
up?
Show. Got this one.
I'm dispelling.
Holy fuck.
We got it.
Dodge.
My
Dodge.
god,
Duck.
that took forever.
Legendary,
Holy-
legendary. No?